is my honor and my privilege to be here with you. You look just wonderful. You are amazing. Just look at your eyes. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. My name is Virginia Prodan, and I'm honored to speak in front of you. You will hear today something that maybe you never heard before, but you will hear something today that you will be challenged, and you will have to make a choice to do what is right, what God is asking you to do, or avoid and regret for the rest of your life that you didn't act. I am an international human rights attorney and a law attorney with Alliance Defend and Freedom. I am a mother. I have 3 children, and Emmanuel was here indeed as a student, and he benefited and he still uses what he learned here. And I'm a speaker, and my passion is for people, our country, and God. Almost 28 years ago, and that will be November 14 this year, I was exiled to the United States of America. As a human rights attorney in Romania, I was declared a dissident. I was put under constant surveillance by secret police. I was arrested, beaten, tortured, and I came, like you heard before, within minutes to be executed under the order of our dictator Nicolae Ceausescu. Finally, under the pressure of United States President Ronald Reagan, I was exiled as a political refugee to United States of America, the greatest country in the world. When I came to United States, I had with me 2 small girls and a soon-to-be-born son. I had no money. I spoke 5 foreign languages, but I didn't know 1 word in English. After I mastered English, I was accepted, and in 3 years, I graduated from SMU Law School in Dallas, Texas, with 2 degrees, Juris Doctor and Master of Laws. And the reason I'm saying I did it in 3 years, because normally you take a Juris Doctor and a Master of Laws in 4 years. By the grace of God, I did it in 3 years. Meanwhile, shortly after that, I opened my law firm, but in the same time, I raised my 3 children as a single mom. My first daughter graduated from SMU, the second one graduated from Harvard Law School, and my son graduated from United States Air Force. This is United States of America. This is the land, the only land in the entire world. When you come legally to this country, you put all your efforts and you receive the opportunity to work hard and accomplish your dreams. But I should be dead, buried under unmarked grave in Romania, according to our dictator Ceausescu. Obviously, I'm not. God had other plans. My memoir, Saving My Assassin, will encourage you to understand a lot of things. It goes from the eyes of a little girl, 6 years old, growing up in communist Romania, to the actions and a fight of a young lawyer, fighting and winning not only in the courtroom, but daily under interrogation, torture, being held under house arrest, and so forth. To the place where I had a very uneasy moment in my life, where I was forced to leave Romania. The only place that I knew and the only place that I loved. I didn't love the government, but I loved Romania. To the place where I have to be exiled into a country that I knew very little, except that was a country that stood up for freedom, to building my life. You'll watch in the book how I work and I build my life here in the United States, to the place where now I'm back to fighting for freedom, but this time in the United States of America. My book will really encourage you to stand up, because it's time for us as Americans to stand up. I wrote this book many times crying. I relived my life, but I will do it again because I love the American people. I'm very concerned with the directions, and I will do it again. And I believe that my memoir is an antidote to apathy for many Christians or discouraged Christians. And I want to remind them who they are and who we are, more than conquerors. We are God's ambassadors, and He is in us, and with us, He will bring us to victory, because it's going to be a victory, no matter what. I also wrote the book as eye-opening to those who fight against God, who turn their back to God. Maybe some of them, they were taught at home, but now at college, they decided to turn their back to God. And now they are demanding a socialist government God. I hope after they read the book, and I want to tell you that my book, it's not threatening. It's not judgmental. You can give it to a Christian or a non-Christian. My book takes the reader into socialism, and the reader walks with me. And I had two goals. One, to show them, and at the end of the day, for them to say, I do not want to build this society in America. And the second one, for them to say, I want her God to be my God. And I believe that I accomplished that. Many of the young people, or people all ages, that believe that the government they want to be, if they understand or not that what they want to do is to replace our God, the most powerful God and loving God, they want to replace it with the government, and in the name of giving them everything. What they in fact want to do is, I think they are afraid of the freedom that we have here in the United States. You know, all of you know that with freedom comes responsibility, competition, desire to do what you are made to do. And many of them, they bought to the culture of being a victim. The government tells our children from first grade to maybe 100 years old that you are nothing, that you are a victim. If you are American, you are the worst person in the entire world. Remember what God tells you, who you are. I hope those people who are still believing in this victim mentality will think about if in fact they are not afraid and they don't believe in themselves anymore, and they will return to God. That's my hope for them. Because surely each one of them are capable of doing everything that it takes for us to continue to be free and to accomplish everything that God wants us to accomplish in our lives. I will share with you in the time that we have, and by the way, you have note cards, and I will appreciate during the time that I'm speaking, maybe I'm saying something and you will say, well, how that works or so forth. I will be more than happy if you write your question. Even if I don't go through all the questions that you have, that will represent to me a tremendous help, because it will tell me what your questions are and how to cover those in my next speech. I'm here to help. I really believe that God brought me here for a specific reason, and that is not only to share my experience and who God is, but also to help individual people, groups, in how to deal with what we are going through today in America. Like everyone else, Like you, like people all over the world, I was born with a hunger for truth and freedom. But I was born in communist Romania, a land of lies and a prison land. I know it wasn't a land with stone walls and steel bars and watchtowers, but a prison land nevertheless. The stone walls were the cruel, harsh, and life and treatment from the government. The lies, bars, were the lies. And the watchtowers, the suspicions, anxiety, fears. In order to control us, our communist government labeled any of our honest question or statement as an anti-government statement, punishable from loss of employment to execution. To avoid dictators' punishment, many people remain silent. Maybe you relate to something that is going on today in America, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this. But I decided, as I grew up, I decided to search for the truth and speak up for the truth. Let me explain it to you. I grew up in a family, you'll find out about me, but the most essential thing that I want to share with you today is this. I watched my parents outside of home being very obedient to the government, doing whatever the government said. But I also watched them a few times inside of our home, saying exactly how they felt about what the government required and what they were supposed to do. As a young kid, I watched them and I said to myself, I do not want to live this kind of life. In our family, we also have a custom. At the end of every summer, we will have like a family reunion. And as a young kid, I watched and I noticed that some of my relatives, lawyers, will be always surrounded by other people, and they will come with questions, and it looked to me as a young kid that the lawyers had the answer. So putting all those two together, the fact that I didn't like what my parents did, living double life, and the fact that the lawyers looked to me like they have the answer, I said to myself, I found the way. I go to law school, and I'm going to find the truth, and I'll speak up for the truth. I searched, and I graduated from law school. I remember I was so happy about this. Somebody might want to write a question about how I was accepted to law school in Romania, because it was very different, and it's very important for you to know. I don't have the time right now because I want to give you an overall, but when the questions come, I want that person to ask me that question. So I was very happy to be accepted at law school. I look at the books, and instead of saying, ooh, this book is so big, I was thinking, I will find the truth in this book. I was so determined to learn. I graduated in the top percent of my class. I was finally finishing law school. I became a lawyer. Every morning I will wake up and will say, and I was very young, by the way, in Romania at that time, when we graduated from high school, we were going directly to law school or graduate school. We did not have college at that time. So I was in law school at the age that you are in college, minus 1 year, because I went to first grade when I was 5 and a half or something like this. So I was very young. So I graduated from law school. I became a lawyer, and every morning I will just go to work and say, today it's going to be the day. Until one day I realized that you cannot find the truth, even in the pages of the law books. I will respond to the question how I accepted Jesus, because it's very important. So that's another question if you wanna put it down. But when I finally found the truth in the pages of, like Jeff said, the most forbidden book in Romania, I accepted. I heard clear, and I accepted the divine appointment to defend Christians, that they were persecuted by the communist government in a form that you never heard, that was never presented by anybody, and it was the worst in the communist bloc system. Romania was the worst one. After I accepted Christ, I understood, first of all, that the truth cannot be found in the law books, that Christ is the truth, the way, and the life, and the fact that our freedom and our rights are coming from God and not from any government. And that was the decision. Many people ask, what is the secret of my success, winning against the communist government? That is the key. My decision to trust God, that He gave me that appointment to defend Christians. That was the reason I went to law school, and that He who gave me the appointment to defend Christians under such a pressure from the dictator Ceausescu and his regime, He will help me to accomplish that job. You have to know that during the communist regime, we were not allowed to have a Bible in our home. So I defended Christians that had a Bible in their homes or shared the Bibles with others. I defended Christians who watched by themselves with their family, nobody else, the Jesus movie. I defended churches that the government decided to do this. The churches will ask the government for permission to maintain the church or extend the church, and the government, of course, will not say no. What they will do, what they did before I started to defend Christians, they will say, yes, we took your application and it's on the waiting list, and every year will say it's on the waiting list, it's still on the waiting list, until the government will come to the church, will say, oh, the church is in disrepair, we're gonna demolish the church and confiscate your land. And take it from me, the communist and socialist government is not in the business of building another church. It's gone forever. So the way I defended those churches and Christians is as follows. You have to know, first of all, that the socialist and communist system works on rumor, lies, and deception. Before communists came to Romania, we had in the law books laws like in the United States, because Romania was a capitalist country, that will protect freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and other freedom of people. Special freedom of religion and freedom of speech were kept by our dictator for one reason, because he wanted benefits from United States of America, the most favored nation status, and others. United States of America accepted that with one condition, that those rights are actually accepted by the government and not violated. Before I started to defend those churches, representative from United States will come, will talk with the dictator, and the dictator will say, nobody has any problems. But shortly after I started to defend them, And let me explain to you. Um, I want you to know that I am not a hero. Okay? If you go home with that, you heard me wrong. I am just an I am, and I continue to be God's tool. He is using me for His glory. And He can do the same thing to each one of us. Okay? God used me because I responded to His call and protected me. So today I can be here and talk with you. When I was in Romania and I defended Christians, I had no idea how God protected me, but He did. Let me explain it to you. When I was facing the court and talking and, presenting my arguments, later on, I found out that behind me was representative from United States of America and from other governments that reported back to their country because it was unheard that somebody will take the government to court. And that was a way that God protected me. I do remember late at night hearing, reports from Voice of America or Free Europe. You have to know that we were not allowed to hear those broadcasts, but guess what? We are in such a despair of a need that somebody behind those walls of prison land and land of lies is thinking about us, or somewhere there is freedom, that we risk our life and we listen to them. I have to say that I had mixed feelings when I heard those radio, Free Europe and Voice of America, saying what I said in court, how I was dressed, how I reacted to the prosecutor or the judge. And the reason is, on one hand, I was happy that the world knows, but on the other hand, I was paying attention to every single sound, thinking in a second the government will come and execute me. That's the way the government works. But also, there was God's way to protect me. So I don't want you to think that I am a hero that said one day, I'm going to take this dictator down and I'm going to show him who I am and who he is, because that's not the truth. That's not. It's God's way, and He did it, and He will do in your life more than maybe He did in my life. I want to talk with you a little bit about, because I want you to understand how the communist and the socialist system works, and how this dictator was so in power, and how he was threatening people, because there were many other lawyers around me, but none of them had the courage to use those laws. In fact, when I was in the interrogation rooms and when I was beaten and threatened that I will be killed, they told me, you have to stop using those laws. You can see around that no other lawyers using. When you use those laws, you become an enemy to Romania, an enemy to the government, and we're going to put you in jail. And the worst, when I told them no, I went to law school to be a lawyer, and the role of a lawyer is to protect, to do what is right, and I believe it's right. We have a law, I use the law. The last source that they use besides saying they're going to kill my kids, they're going to cripple me, or so forth, they said, we can charge you with being a spy for United States. And with that, you didn't even have to have a jury trial or judge to judge you. They will take you and just kill you. But in order for you to understand how this dictator got to power, how he intimidated, I want to explain it to you how the entire thing went around. Am I in time? I have 15 more minutes, yeah? Okay, thank you. Okay. The socialist and communist system, first of all, false ideology. They promise a lot, and they don't deliver, and they also our attitude towards those philosophy is never ignorance, but truth. So the more we learn about how the system works, the more equipped you're going to be in understanding and talking with your friends and asking questions. You are so equipped here at Summit not to make a confrontational discussion, but to put the seed of questions in and doubts in a person's mind. So this is very important. You're already trained with what I'm going to explain it to you. It's going to be very easy for you to continue a discussion with people that don't agree with you. First of all, the socialist and communist system, both of them are system contrary, totally contrary to the American system. Let me explain to you first. As we know, the capitalist system is based on private property, free market. In the socialist and communist system, the government owns everything. The government owns the means of production, distribution, and exchange, and they always will say that they do all this for the benefit of their people. But the government is going to be the one deciding the benefits, not the people. So you are not going to have a voice in discussing those. The socialist system or capitalist replaces the free market with the with a communist control, absolute control. You cannot have any control as a person. Eradicates free speech, freedom of religion, religious rights, and self-determination as a nation. If you hear the news or what the administration is trying to do now, you can relate. Maybe it's not like in Romania, but they are pushing on that direction. Socialism is against our wealth. The first thing that socialist does is confiscates and distributes the wealth according to what the leaders decide. Not what the people believe that it's right. Or in Romania, when the socialists and communists came, it destroyed the wealth of Romania because the leaders just took the wealth and divided among themselves, and they in the name of people they believe, they told us that's the best way to do it. You wait in line until we distribute something else. It never happened. Not only that the government destroyed the wealth of Romania, but destroy and crush the creativity, the productivity, and individual self-worth. In the name of, and you hear those words over and over again. I am positive you never heard those words before this administration in America, but you heard from this administration over and over again, promoting fair share, justice, and equality. You hear that every single morning. In the name of promoting those principles, guess what? In Romania, socialists transform almost all the people in Romania into poor people, poor equally people. And the equality promise is just a lie. We had classes in socialists and communists in Romania and all over the world. If you check the research, there are classes. The ones that will support the government will be the ones that will benefit, will have a lavish style of life, and the rest of the people, the more they depend on the government, the more they have to be submitted, the poorer they become, and the more they have to submit to the government. And they have no power, no voice. That's what the socialist does. More than that, after Ceausescu got in power, he governed Romania as a despot, as a tyrant. He believed that we as people were his servants, that we were owned by him, and he decided to make every decision for us. Of course, according to his benefits. That's the way the government will conquer lives in every single society. It's not only in Romania. He nationalized big areas of our economy. With his new laws, first he suffocated a lot of companies, then he killed them. And we have only government-owned companies, and our economy was ruined. He transformed our schools into capitalist schools, good schools, private schools, into a socialist school. The role of the teacher was to train the students in socialist ideology and to watch and report the parents who dare to complain. I'll never forget a day when my girls were maybe in second and third grade, or first and second grade, and in the beginning, the government gave books to the students for free, but we the parents, pay. After a while, they required the parents to go and buy the books, and they did not provide the books at school when the students started, first day at school. And it was very hard to find those books. Everybody was looking for, and we spent a lot of time. So because I walk with my kids, my girls, to all the stores, they remember that. They did not like the fact that I had to take them with me to find the books. So here they were in the first grade, first day of school, or maybe second grade. And the teacher said, open the book, your book, and she read to them the lesson. And the lesson was that the dictator is their father, the dictator is their God, the dictator is their provider, and the dictator provided the books for them. And then she said, close your book and write a short sentence, something that you are saying, something that you are grateful that the dictator, she didn't say the dictator, she said Ceausescu gave you the books. One of my girls was very upset, and she remembered all those trips to the bookstore. So she wrote, my mom bought my books, not Ceausescu. I was called at work, and I was told that it's an emergency and go to school. So I went to school, and I talked with the teacher, and the teacher said, look what Anka said. And I looked, and I was so proud of my daughter. But I couldn't say to her. I wanted to hear what she wanted to say, and then, try to see if I can work with her. And she said to me, this is unacceptable. And I told Anka, this is the truth, but she cannot write the truth on a piece of paper in my class. Inside of me, I was so upset. I was thinking, you are the teacher. You are teaching my child to lie. But I understood what she wanted. She wanted to keep her job. She wanted to keep her position. I remember in my book, and I will just say a few words from the book that you will understand. In my book, I said, in many ways, we were the same. Two jail souls trapped within a communist prison. The only difference was that she chose to submit to her captor, while I had chosen to fight. And we had lots of people doing that. It was very hard to be a Christian in that situation. I do remember my second daughter wanted so much to to share the gospel at school. And they learned one day about evolution. And the teacher told them that you are coming from animals and you are nothing else than another step in the animals. And she raised her hand several times. And the teacher didn't give her pay any attention, but at the end of the class, because she didn't say anything, she didn't interrupt the teacher decided to honor that. So she said, okay, tell us what you want to say. What was your question? And she said, oh, I have to tell you, you don't know. But you know what? God created us. We are the beauty of his creation. We are just amazing people. That book that says that we are animals is wrong. Don't believe that. And of course, I was called at school again. But that was what the situation, and what the situation will come if we don't fight in America. I heard it over and over again. I am trying from the bottom of my heart to tell you, don't believe the lies where they will say, oh, it's never going to happen here in America. I'm going to give you an example in a little while, and I'm going to tell you that it's happening right here. In life, we have a divine appointment. I'm looking at your eyes. I'm looking at your faces. God has amazing things that he wants to do through you. I'm not here by accident. I am not. And you are not here by accident. We have just few seconds, and I want to take those seconds to encourage you. We will continue after the break. But I am telling you, I want you to remember. And to remember is what? Spend time with God. Walk with him. Think about what God created you to be. I will say just this. My dream was to find the truth and to speak up for the truth. Look what God did in my life. And he is not true yet. Remember, when you put your life in God's hands, he will do amazing things. We were meant to be tools in God's hands to do. You are the hope of America. You believe it or not, I want you, if you are discouraged, to remember my words in the time of your discouragement, because you are the hope of America. You are here for a purpose, and you are here because God has something really special to you. It warms my heart, makes me cry to know that with everything that I went through, God did it because he had you in mind. Each one of you. He knew that it's going to be a day. I had no idea. That's going to be a day when I will be here. I will tell you what socialism and communism is, and what God can do through your life, and how you can save yourself, your family, your country, and the country around the world. Because America is not only our country. America is the hope of the world, because it's God in us who makes us the hope, and who makes America the hope of the world. I will stop here because it's 11 o'clock, and we'll continue after this.